This is the Crossman Sports Talk Podcast, episode 9. How's everybody doing this evening? Just had a scheduling. I took the week off last week, did some scheduling rearranges, so we're throwing one out here for the holiday week. No other podcast is doing that, so we're talking on the holiday, everybody. So I wanted to start off the show tonight. I was looking into it, and the amount of injuries to quarterbacks this season is just crazy off the wall. And now with recording tonight, the injury now on Sunday to Joe Burrow, torn ACL, MCL, and some other ligament damage in the knee. The kid was having a great year, had the potential to have Rookie of the Year, but he just adds to the list of crazy injuries this year. 2 weeks ago he had Drew Brees with the rib injuries. Dak Prescott's on IR. Sam Darnold's been in and out with shoulder problems all year. Jimmy Garoppolo, ankle issues. He was out, came in for a game, re-injured it, he's out again. Probably won't play for the rest of the year, especially the way the Niners are looking right now. They're not going anywhere, so it'll be best to kind of let him sit, and even if he's a Niner any longer. Teddy Bridgewater's had a couple of leg injuries this year. Ben Roethlisberger, although he's played, there was a risk they were worried about 2 weeks ago he wasn't going to play. Andy Dalton, concussion issues back and forth this couple weeks. Kyle Allen, Washington Redskins, he's out for the year. Tyrod Taylor for the Chargers got hurt early, and then now Herbert's taking over there.
Punctured lung.
Did he have
his lung?
Yeah,
From
chest injury, punctured lung.
Was from his the personal trainer or something like that?
Yeah, so that's good. The doctors are helpful there. And then, like I said, starting off with Joe Burrow. Pat, you were talking about Joe Burrow a few weeks ago and just how you really like the kid. What's next for the Bengals going forward with this?
I don't know. I just think that hopefully Burrow can recover quickly and hopefully get back by next year. But from what the reports are saying, that Gavin said he could be out half the year starting next year. So I don't know. I just feel bad for Burrow. I thought he was Rookie of the Year so far. I think he's definitely gonna turn that franchise around though. So hopefully, things can turn around for Burrow quick, and get healthy. So praying for him.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That kid, that was a rough hit, man. The Redskins are just out there to hurt people. Apparently, I guess.
And that stadium, that stadium has a lot of quarterbacks getting hurt.
Yeah, something's going on there, but I mean, it just seems to be that kind of bad deal. So going forward, Brian, what do the Bengals do going forward, especially like with Gavin and Pat was saying, he's going to miss half the season next year, and next season was possibly going to be a good season for him.
I think it's just wading in the water. I mean, there's not much they can do right now. What do they have? 2 wins? 2 wins?
Yeah.
The only thing they can hope for is to start building around them. Because you can pretty much guarantee they're going to finish with 1, 2, or 3 wins. I wouldn't think any higher than 3. Go get yourself a left tackle. Build your offensive line. They spent so much on getting Burrow last year and not much building around him to start. Making him throw, what is he throwing? 35 to 40 times a game.
Yeah.
And he's bound to get hurt. Especially with a weak offensive line like he has, you're bound to get hurt. So the only thing they can do now, play out the season. Nobody wants to say that they've given up. But the Bengals, I'd play for the top 3 draft pick. Go get yourself a left tackle, start building your offensive line so you can protect them in the future so this kind of stuff doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. And then, Gav, going forward, look at you. Is it just based on the weird year it is, all these quarterbacks, there's a lot of passing going on this year. Is it just, they're just leaving their quarterbacks out there to probably get hurt or get hit,
Not really. I mostly think about it as because the Bengals, I think they need an O-line, so they're passing it all the time in their games is because they don't have a running back. Like Joe Mixon, he's been hurt, he's hurt, and then he's that. So they don't have a running back that can solidify that running game. So they always have to put it on Joe Burrow. Same with our quarterback on the Seahawks, Russell Wilson. we always had to put it on his back in games too for him to pass and pass and pass, and that ruins them in a way. But I just think that teams, a lot of that with not a running game can hurt their quarterback a lot more because they always have to do it on their own and all that. But
very true.
It just sucks for him to get injured right now. And like,
he's having such a good year too.
Like how my dad said that you have to draft like a tackle and all that. What's that one guy out of Oregon, Sewell or something, I forget his name, but there's a lot of tackles in the draft this year that you can go out and get. There's a lot of them, especially that Sewell guy out of Oregon. He's probably the best prospect in the draft for a lineman. So I think they look perfectly fine if they can get a top 5 draft pick and get him. But honestly, I think they need to build that O-line and protect Joe Burrow a lot because he has to do it all day for his team. So.
I understand. And good segue, by the way. So we're talking about Russell Wilson. So we're going to jump. Good job, buddy. We're going to jump into talk a little Seahawks talk right now. So I look at it. I wrote down in my notes. So we're recording 2 games going by for the Seahawks. I look at it as it's a tale of 2 teams going on here in the past couple weeks. So you have the loss to Arizona, or to the Rams, and what a garbage game that was. They lost 16-23. A lot of just a lot of stuff going on. And then you go this last Thursday and they beat Arizona 28-21. Defense shows up. The defense didn't show up the week before. I mean, what's going on is, they finally balance it the right way. Did they really take that loss seriously and then started just making major adjustments? What do you think going on? What do they do to make the change?
I can tell you right now, it was the running game. As good as I think DJ Dallas and Travis Homer could be one day, but when you have a veteran like Carlos Hyde coming back, and I mean, you could just see the huge difference in the team. How much more balanced they were. And when I say balance, I'm not talking 50% run, 50% pass. You got to be effective when it comes to the run. Carlos Hyde had a touchdown, 80 yards rushing. That's the kind of effectiveness Pete Carroll's looking for. Not necessarily 50% run, 50% pass. But if you run the ball, Carlos Hyde's a veteran. I mean, you could totally tell the difference from game to game, from the Rams game to the Arizona game. Running game was much better. You take a lot off Russell Wilson. He had 198 yards passing. I mean, his quarterback efficiency was through the ceiling. But he can play that way when you don't have to put the whole game on his back when you have an efficient running game like they did. Didn't have it in the Rams game. You got it in the Arizona game. Look at the difference. I mean, yeah, defense was, but you could see in the second half the defense played a lot better against the Rams.
That's true. And Pete Carroll even said he started seeing something.
He said that's the best 6-quarter span they've had all year.
Yeah.
And not to mention they had it was a different type of a Tell the Truth Monday that Pete Carroll has. I mean, not only did they go through the game film, but he pointed out to every player in the meeting, what is your assignment here? What is your assignment here? And he made them stand up in front of the whole room. And even KJ Wright said it this past week on Bob and Tom or Dave and Bob and Dave, they've switched it all around. I don't know anymore. But KJ Wright was on and he said that's the first time that Pete Carroll's ever done that.
Really?
They always have Tell the Truth Monday, but Pete Carroll made every player in that room stand up. What's your assignment here? Why'd you miss it? What's going on? How are we going to fix it going forward? And KJ Wright said everybody responded really, really well after the Ram game. And you could totally tell a difference.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And Pat, we were talking about before, I mean, after obviously the game against the Rams, but, do you think going forward, I mean, positivity out of the Cardinals game, of course, but can Russell handle the load going forward for the rest of the season? And we were talking about, why he wasn't choosing to run very often in the Ram game. What's the decision making going on there, and do you think going forward it can be changed with what's going on?
Well, obviously you could see a change in Russ over the last couple of years, because when he first came out, 2, 3, 4 years, you would see Russ take off and, was quite effective at running the ball. But now, you get to be a little more mature and, you try to avoid the injuries by running. And I think he kind of got away from it too much. I understand the logic behind it of, trying to be safe. But, like for instance, like we're talking about that Buffalo game or even the Ram game when he threw that interception in the corner when he had, open field in front of him and he decided to throw it in the corner to Disley, which got picked off. So I thought he ran a little more last week because I think he knows that, he's still got to pick and choose. If it's open, run. He's still a good athlete. And, it makes a big difference when Russ runs the ball. So
that's a great point. It does make a huge difference because he ran it 10 times
I think,
last game.
I think it opens it up too because for a while, Russ was standing back and he wasn't running the ball anymore, and people knew that. So, I think by Russ running the ball, that makes a huge difference for the Seahawks offense. I'm not saying he has to do it every time, but, if he could throw in a run every now and then, kind of keeps the defense honest, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It keeps them off, So I'd like to see Russ run a little bit more. Obviously, stay protected, but I think it makes a difference in the offense when he does run the ball.
Yeah, that's a good point because, if you got Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde and you got a good running game, but I think when Russ runs the ball, I think it tightens up the defense even a little more. Chris Carson can have a 150-yard day, but when Russ runs it that 4 or 5 times, I think that makes a huge difference that the defense has to stay home.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference, I think, when Russ runs.
Yeah, and like you said, like Brian said, even if it's 4 or 5 times a game, I think it's enough to throw the defense off balance, not knowing what Russ is going to do. So
Yeah.
I think that's a huge difference, I'd say the biggest thing, can he handle the load? Obviously he can, but we talked about the beginning of the year, sure, he's going to have, great games, but, when you expect a quarterback, even at Russ's caliber, to, be the hero all the time, it eventually catches up with you. He's human. He's going to have bad games, which he did. And then they got back to the running game. And as far as the defense, I would say, yes, a lot better, but it's all about consistency. Can't have one good game and then, show up next week and, they're right back to square one. That's, I think when we'd be in trouble.
What would you, we all loved watching Russ at the beginning of the year, the 350, the 400 yards, whatnot. And we all at this table would like Russell Wilson to win an MVP. And the numbers are going to have to be there. If we're not going to be the number 1 seed and going to the Super Bowl, for him to win MVP, he's obviously going to have to have those gaudy numbers, What would you prefer, though? Would you prefer 198-yard passing, 2 touchdown Russ, 18 of 21, or would you rather have the 31 for 41, 400-yard passing Russ with the gaudy numbers and possibly losing like we did at Buffalo?
No, absolutely. You know what? I think we're more consistent. Obviously Russ can cut it loose when he needs to. We've seen that.
Yeah.
But when we have that balance, which Pete has, preached about for years, we're a lot better team. We stay off the field. We're on the field. The offense is on the field longer, more first downs. Defense isn't out there as much. I think that makes a big difference. Absolutely, I'd like to have Russ. A W is a W. It doesn't matter. You get it. Yeah, sure. We all would love to see Russ get the MVP, but you ask Russ, it's the same thing. He'd take W's over an MVP any day. So I just want to see more consistency.
Yeah.
As much as they played better this week, Seattle's going to have to put some games together. And just a quick note to tell you too, I did watch the Rams last night. I told you guys 3-4 weeks ago, the Rams are a dangerous team, my man.
Yeah.
Defense, and if Goff can play good, and they've got a pretty decent running game, and obviously with their passing game, the Rams, to me, right now, are the team to beat.
I think the only thing that's gonna put a pause to the Rams season, I didn't think they were. When we talked a few weeks ago, I didn't think much of the Rams. I think their defense is really good, but I think the only thing that's going to halt the Rams is Goff. That screen, when he gets pressure, man, he looks off. He looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. But, if he can stay steady, I wouldn't doubt that the Rams are the team to beat. I think maybe in the whole NFC.
I do too. Right now, I told you guys at the beginning, I thought that the Rams were